This is Good Enough for God, a podcast about God and how he partners with imperfect people. I'm Dayna, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm in my basement in Cincinnati, and I have a guest today who is a musician, a creative director, and a commercial photographer. Oh, and an entrepreneur. And also, you've written a book, Jason Ward. Welcome, Jason.
Hey, Dana. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so where are you? Because you are not here with me.
I am in Bennington, Oklahoma, which is a little town north of the Red River, north of Dallas, Fort Worth, out in the countryside of southeast Oklahoma. And I believe the cattle probably outnumber the people here.
Really? Are you a cattle farmer too, and I didn't mention that?
Well, I have 80 acres, but fortunately, the cattle that we run are not mine. I don't have to jack with cows. I have a rancher that we lease to, and he leases the property next door to us as well. So there's a
Mhm.
big hole in the fence, and the cattle can pretty much come and go as they please from one property to the other.
Yeah,
And I get the benefit of having a beautiful grazed pasture and don't have to worry about tractors and cows.
and picking up manure.
Ah, no, you don't pick that up. You just let that's regenerative farming. You just let that
Uh,
let that lie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever go cow tipping, Jason?
No, but I've
No?
almost been tipped by a couple
Okay,
myself.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. They'll get you.
So you're in Oklahoma, but you grew up not in Oklahoma, is that correct?
That's correct. As
Okay.
your audience will hear, I have a pretty pronounced Appalachian accent, and
Mhm.
I've been gone from my hometown in Eastern Kentucky for longer than I was there.
Okay.
But as they say, you can take the boy out of Kentucky, out of Appalachia, but you're not gonna take that accent out of that boy.
Well, I like your accent.
Well, thank you.
So, Jason, before we dig into learning a little bit more about you and how you're kind of working alongside God, like in partnership with Him
Mhm.
and your purpose, share with me a fun fact about yourself and make it really impressive.
Okay. I would have to say that even though I come from obscure parts in Eastern Kentucky,
Mhm.
and I went to Johnson Central High School and graduated in '96, 30 years ago,
Okay.
all, I will say, without exception, of your listeners know another one of my classmates.
Oh, okay. Who?
It just so happened that I went to school with Chris Stapleton and graduated with him in '96.
Wow. And he is a country superstar.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I work in country radio. He's a big deal. We play him a lot.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, there was no surprise, honestly, that he made it. We all knew that he was gonna do great things with music. He was always so talented.
Were you guys buddies or what?
He was friends with everybody. Chris was a
Okay.
great guy, and although I wasn't in the most popular clique, he was in my honors classes, and we took American Studies together and a few AP classes together. We were sort of in the same class, and because the S's weren't too far away from the W's, I would usually end up sitting next to him or behind him or somewhere close to him.
So if you gave him a phone call, would he be like, "Oh, yeah, Jason, hey," or
Oh,
would he be
yeah.
like, "Oh,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
cool. All
And
right."
my family's friends with his family, and his older brother was very talented too. He comes from a big family of raw talent. And
Mhm.
it's really ironic now that the very house that he grew up in is the house next door to where my sister and brother in law live. And my nephew is a very talented musician coming up through the ranks, and he shares the same initials as Chris, Carter
Wow.
Stevens. So put
Okay.
him on your radar
Okay.
because there must be something in the water on Dorton Boulevard where Chris grew up because,
Yeah,
yeah, to have more talent just next door.
right.
And it's like, I've seen this pattern before, right?
Yeah, yeah. Alright, so Jason, you are the author of a book, and it's titled Find Your Gold Thread, right?
Find your gold thread. Yes.
Discovering your purpose God has been weaving through your life. What led you to write this book?
Oh, goodness. Thanks for the question. But that's kind of a long story, really. I grew up in Eastern Kentucky. And through art, because my parents told me from an early age that I was not allowed to be a coal miner. I'm the first man in my family in over 100 years not to mine coal.
Okay.
Another fun fact is Chris Stapleton's dad was involved with coal mining as well.
Okay.
It's not uncommon. Many of our classmates graduated and went straight into the coal mines.
Uh-huh.
But my parents didn't want that for me. They wanted me to go to college. And so I used my art
Mm,
to get out of the Appalachian Hills, and I got a full scholarship in art to go to the University of Louisville. And
okay.
that's where I started having a little bit of a departure, I think, from God's plan because I did not like the sound of being an art major when I tried to tell people what I was doing with my life. Because you go around college campus and everybody has biology majors or they're
Yeah.
pre-law, they're pre-med, and I'm over here, I'm an art major, you
You're
know?
different. You're in the creative field, which is
Yeah.
just so different. Yeah.
And I'll have to say, when meeting young women, that didn't really appeal to them that much. Me being an art major seemed like I was just destined to be one of those starving artists.
Mhm.
And I pretty much caved to that pressure, thinking I need to find a discipline inside of art that will give me some impressive work projections as well. So I liked the sound of being an art director at an ad agency. And I thought, yeah, I'll do that. I'll go into advertising because then I have a prospect at least of getting a corporate job that has a regular salary, a paycheck. Those are kind of nice, right? And so I just went totally full bore into advertising and didn't really ask for directions from God anymore. I just had that. I was like, this is what I'm doing. Thanks God for getting me here, but I've got this from here. And I took my own path and went my own way and went full bore into advertising. And it was a long road that God brought me back to
Hmm.
art and photography.
Okay.
And it was after a midlife crisis and reconnecting my work with God's plan that it led me to doing more art photography, which led to purchasing real estate, which led to me building and designing short term rental properties in Broken Bow
Wow.
and selling a few of them and paying our family out of debt. Just a
Wow.
wild journey, and, of course, with all the photography going on in my life, I thought that the first book I would ever pen would be something to do with my photography, maybe a coffee table book of all my images that I've shot all over the world, really, and mostly Oklahoma. I've gone to many beautiful places in Oklahoma and really, explored this state to find all the natural beauty that God has just sprinkled across Oklahoma. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But when I was up at one of our properties, God put on my heart this vision for this gold thread. And I feel that I'm well suited to write about it because, good grief, I came from an obscure place in rural Appalachian Kentucky, found my
Mhm.
way through grad school and art direction and ad agency life and internships at big agencies in
Wow.
Dallas, and found my way then after crossing the Mississippi River to crossing the Red River and going into rural Oklahoma to develop real estate and everything. And I started to see that the odds were just not that great for all of those things to happen and line up perfectly the way they did to give me these opportunities, to give me the possibility of doing what I'm doing. And that's when God gave me the vision for this gold thread. And
Okay.
the way I would describe it is everybody has this gold thread that runs through their lives from the time they're little. And God puts people, events, things in their lives that make them who they are and
Yeah.
where they are and what they love to do, what they're good at, the things that make them come alive.
Mhm.
And I started thinking, wow, if this is true of my life, this has to be true of everybody else. If they can only trace back their little gold thread, then maybe there's
Yeah.
some clues sprinkled along that gold thread that
Mm.
God has intentionally left for us that will give us a hint about what he wants us to do with our lives.
That's a cool way of looking at it. So, what was your gold thread?
Yeah. Well, I traced it back. And it was weird that I could see almost like flashbacks, or you've heard people describe those near death experiences, where their whole life kind of flashes in
Yeah.
front of them and they see all these things happening. That's kind of the way this was for me. It was a weird vision that I got. But I asked the question of God, and I feel that the Holy Spirit was answering that question. Like, how, God, did I get here with all these opportunities in this life? How did I end up standing on this mountain looking out after building this beautiful property? How did I have that opportunity to do this?
Mhm.
And it was like the Holy Spirit said, well, if you really want to know, I'll show you. And boom, I went backwards all the way through my life and all the faces and teachers and people from church and all of the things that made me have this life. And I could trace my whole career back to one single sheet of paper that was handed to me by my seventh grade science teacher.
Okay. And what was the paper?
It was an application to enter an art contest with the possibility of winning a trip for a week to space camp. And that
Whoa.
really appealed to my junior high boyhood heart. I knew my parents couldn't afford to send me there, but
Was that in Alabama?
yes, it was. It was in Huntsville,
Okay.
Alabama.
Yep. I have a very good friend who lives in Huntsville, Alabama. I've been to the Space Museum there. So,
Mhm.
did you win?
I did. I did win that. And for that little boy, what a clincher, crucial moment that was, because I had entered art contests before, but I hadn't won anything.
Okay.
And frankly, I was pretty disgusted with the fact that I could work that hard and still not ever win.
Yeah.
And when I got this paper in my hands, I decided, you know what? I'm going to go for it one more time. And if I don't win, I may never paint or draw another picture again as long as I live. And I may just try music instead. But I was
Okay.
totally disgusted.
Oh.
And I don't know if God was like, oh my goodness, I guess I'm going to have to let this kid win or something, you know. But
Maybe if he really
yeah,
wanted you to go down that path.
yeah. And it was a statewide contest, really long odds. And it was so drawn out. They were supposed to notify the winners, I believe, on April 1st of that year. And so I
Mhm.
just had in my mind that by the first or second week of April, I would know. And I went to my mailbox every single day after getting off the bus trying to find this letter that was addressed
Mhm.
to me, and nothing ever came. And my mom started letting me down easy or softly
Yeah.
to try to cushion the fall. After about
Mhm.
May 1st, when this thing didn't show up, she gave me that speech, that moms always have. Babe, we think you did a fantastic job.
You're
And we
number 1 in our
love,
book.
yes, but art's very subjective, hun. And
Yeah.
somebody else might have chosen something different. Not that yours wasn't good, but they might have
Mhm.
liked something a little bit different than yours. Well, on
So
my birthday, May the 17th of that year,
okay.
well after April 1st, right? I mean, why would they?
And when you're a kid, that's like a couple years,
Yeah,
you know?
I
Yeah.
felt so cheated by not learning about this thing for so long. But on my birthday, I got this beautiful letter. It was the first
Mhm.
thing I ever saw addressed to me when I opened it up, and the first words were, congratulations.
Aw.
And what that did for me is it gave me that little stamp of approval at a crucial time that said, yes, you have what it takes. Yes, you can do art. Yes, your art is good enough. And
Mhm.
that's huge. If a child doesn't get confirmation in what they're doing, they
Yeah.
may never fully embrace. And I feel that was a gift from God that allowed me to fully embrace art.
Yeah, for sure, and I think that when you're a creative person like that and, like, with art, like you said, it's difficult, and you see so many other people who are going down a different road, and you're kinda like, "Well, why did you make me this way, God? Why am I so
Mhm.
different?" But then you have to really, as you get older, you learn to kinda you embrace that. "Oh, this is how you made me. You have a purpose for me in this, and I'm different. I'm unique from everyone else." But when
It's
you're a
true.
kid, it's like, whoo, you wanna be like everybody else.
Oh, I know, and I was so that kid, the one that
Mhm.
was weird and had all the weird nicknames, and every time I tried to do anything to show my strength or do something crazy awesome, it would blow up on me and kinda embarrass me, you know?
Yeah.
And, for instance, I have another crazy story.
Okay.
I was trying to show off on the playground around that same year that I won the trip to space camp. It was a crazy year. Me
Mhm.
and a buddy were kicking one of those big red balls that you have like for kickball or
Oh, yeah.
foursquare, the big red
Yeah.
bouncy balls. And we were
Mhm.
just sending this thing. I mean, full send. And we were kicking this thing as hard as we could. And as seventh graders, I was pretty impressed with how far we could kick those balls. And
Yeah.
we would kick it and then we'd take a couple steps back to sort of challenge ourselves to kick it even further.
Yeah.
Well, I had that ball in my hands right when the coach blew the whistle for the end of the day. The buses were coming, it's time to put the toys back up and everything. And I
Yeah.
thought, no, 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 no. I've got the ball. I'm
Yeah.
going to show my strength here. And I launched that ball skyward, and I think it went close to the troposphere, this thing. I
Uh-huh.
lost it in the sun. It went off the wrong side of my foot. It didn't go the direction I wanted it to go because that's what I always did is
Uh-huh.
embarrass myself. Well, the
Mhm.
ball came rocketing back down out of space basically and
Yeah.
hit a teacher so hard on the head that it broke her neck.
What?
Yeah. It was bad.
You can
No, it
laugh
was
about it now, right?
no, we laugh now, but this was bad. Like, I ran up to her as she fell backwards against the ground like a tree falling, and I
Oh, so
ran
when she
into
hit
the
the ground,
principal.
it broke her neck.
Oh, it was either the ball or the fall that broke her neck. Yeah, she went out on a stretcher, and
Oh my
the last thing I
gosh.
saw as the ambulance rounded the corner and went up the by the creek as I saw her being slid into the back of that ambulance with a sheet over her. So
Oh my
that's
gosh.
how all of my
Wow.
attempts of showing my greatness always worked out,
So
with something
so
like that.
do you not try to show your greatness anymore? You just are great?
You know, at some point, yeah, I arrived, right? I came into
Yeah.
myself. I grew into it.
Yeah.
No. But I was that kid, and for all of those reasons, I was so socially awkward. And
Mm,
I probably have a touch of Asperger's too. My sister puts me on
mhm.
the spectrum. And
That's
so,
nice of her.
oh yeah, yeah, she was not, even trying to beat around the bush. She's like, "Yeah, Jay, you're on the spectrum. You got Asperger's for sure." Yeah. But, so I had a lot going on, and
Yeah.
once I kind of embraced being different, like, as an artist, it
Yeah.
made zigging while everybody else was zagging a little bit different because
Yeah.
I was just cool with being that kid, I guess, after a while.
That's really good because I think a lot of kids, including myself, I always wanted to be in radio, so I was in that, but, um, I remember trying to get out of it and have more of, like, a business type job.
Mhm,
Completely not me. I mean,
mhm.
I think about some of the interviews I went to and how embarrassing it was because it just wasn't me at all, but I felt like I needed to be something different.
That's the way
Um,
we do,
yeah,
we try to sort of fit in with the crowd or keep up with the Joneses, as they would say.
yeah,
And I kind of have a little analogy that I wrote about this in my book. And I did this too. I'm guilty of it because I
okay.
wanted to have the title. Everybody wants those little dot something after their name on a business card.
Mm,
They want the prestige of having a certain job title.
yes,
And the
yeah.
way I compare that, if I may use a Kentucky analogy here.
Sure, I'm in Ohio, right next door, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, my dorm at University of Louisville was only about a mile from Churchill Downs. So I'm going to use a thoroughbred analogy here. And that
Okay.
is that a lot of people, when choosing their career, end up like a thoroughbred horse that's hooked to a plow. It's not that the horse can't pull the plow because it's plenty strong. But unless somebody leads that horse to the racetrack where it belongs, then how will it ever know that it was born to run?
Wow.
And likewise, here's where it gets tricky is that let's say you take a Clydesdale horse and you plop that horse down in the middle of a thoroughbred racetrack, it's going to be equally awkward and miserable because that's not how God intended that horse to express his purpose for it.
Yeah, they carry Budweiser beer.
Yeah, it needs to be
They
pulling something heavy so that it can show off the way it can perform, right?
Yeah,
But so
right.
many
Yeah.
of us like that Clydesdale, they like the sound of being the thoroughbred. They like the
Yeah.
sound of being a CPA, attorney, physician, optometrist, engineer. But so many times we crush God's plan for our lives and our purpose because we're chasing that job title or that status where we can show people that we've arrived and that we're successful. We want to sound successful even
Mhm.
before we are. Like for me, I didn't want to tell people I was an art major because that didn't sound successful, but art
Okay.
director did.
It does. You're right. Yeah. So is that basically kinda what your book is about? Like, helping people, well, I guess,
Yes.
find their gold thread?
Find their true calling, find their gold thread and follow it. I'm hoping to help people find, follow, and flourish in their gold thread. Because
Okay.
just like Jesus said, I'm the vine and you're the branches. Apart from me, you can do nothing. So we can
Yeah.
spin our wheels and we can try to manufacture our success and we can arrive at success in terms of worldly standards. We could build an empire according to worldly standards and still not move the needle for God or for other people.
Right. And I think ultimately, if God is not in it, I don't think that we are ever really satisfied,
No, no, we're
you
not.
know?
And he tried to
Oh,
politely close the door on advertising for me. He did.
sure.
Because I
Mhm.
applied
Mhm.
for a very competitive grad school program for art direction, and I got a rejection letter. It wasn't as nice as that space camp scholarship letter. This one didn't start with congratulations.
Oh,
I got a nasty letter. I'm saying nasty in the fact that I didn't get in.
right.
Um,
Got
and
it.
I smashed that door back open. I was not going to take no for an answer. And I think
Okay.
that's part of the flaw of being a creative. On the one hand, we express creativity in a way that is an echo of what God has done with creating everything, right? We just
Wow.
express that creativity. But at the same time, we can go a little bit off the rails with our creativity too and be like,
Sure.
no, God, I want to craft my way. I want to make it look the way I want it to because that creativity comes out and you don't want input from anybody when you're really in your creative zone. You're like, no, I got this. And that's
Yes.
exactly what I did with my career. I said, no, God, I want to do this art direction thing and I will do this. And I smashed that door. I just put a boot through it, kicked the door wide open that he was trying to close.
Okay.
And I think what I should have done is give myself permission to
Mhm.
explore what God wanted me to do. And I probably would have found photography way earlier. I would have embraced photography
Yeah.
earlier and probably became a professional photographer earlier. But instead,
Yeah.
I went prodigal, kicked the door open, said, absolutely not. I will do this. And careful there because God will take his hands off the wheel and allow you to walk through the door that he tried to close.
Yeah.
But he was gracious enough to open a back door for me to photography and lead me right back to where he wanted me to be all along. And it
Mm.
wasn't until a midlife crisis that I put two and two together to figure out exactly what you said. If God's not in it, we can spin our wheels and never feel successful. We can never feel anything fulfilling with our lives and our careers. Like, what was it all for? That's the question you have to ask yourself is, was this worth it?
Oh gosh. That's a huge lesson to learn, and it requires a lot of humility. You
Yeah.
gotta put yourself underneath the Lord and trust where he's leading you, take that step in faith, and he shines that light on your path, and he opens it up for you when you're on the
Hmm.
right path, I
He
think.
really does.
So, how can someone tell the difference between something that looks good, like a good opportunity, but it's not? They've missed their calling, like just kind of what you said about yourself.
That's a really, really great question. And I think it takes being open to really hearing from the Holy Spirit. And
Okay.
I think it could even be that you need to be open to listening to some of those people that are closest to you. Some of those friends that don't care to tell you the truth,
No, they're not friends. Yeah.
if they're not willing to tell you the truth, they're not really your friends anyway, right?
Yeah.
But
That's
so
what I
many
tell my girls
times,
all the time.
yeah.
Yes.
But so many times we really hesitate to even get feedback from those that we trust the most because we do see an opportunity and think, wow, that's really cool. I want to do that. I can do that. And that sounds good. But we just blaze into it. And I've done that myself. I have had a few failed businesses
Okay.
because I got a shiny object. My wife now refers to this as my shiny object syndrome, and I'm not allowed to go chasing any more shiny objects. But I noticed a pattern.
Okay.
Every time that something was outside of my wheelhouse, outside of my lane, and I tried to embrace it, it always failed and it blew up in my face. And if I had only been peacefully quiet and patient enough for God to really show me the way and listen to people around me pour into me the truth, I probably could have avoided some heartache and a lot of time and oh, so much money. Oh my goodness, the money I spent chasing shiny objects. So it's hard sometimes to know because you get an idea and you want to go just right out of the gate, boom, gung ho, go for it.
Right.
And the world
Mhm.
will tell us, you go, you do this, you've got this.
You go, girl.
That's right. If without the counsel, without God's
Yeah.
permission and without his blessing, it's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. What kind of things do you think help people kinda lose their direction? You talk about a black thread in your book?
Yes.
Okay.
So if there's this gold thread, and thank you for that question, but yes, if
Mhm.
there's a gold thread that's weaving this tapestry, if you get a picture of this tapestry that God's trying to weave for us, that's like prosperity and success and fulfillment and grace, and that we have at the end of our lives something to be proud of with this tapestry that He's weaving, then we
Uh-huh.
have to be smart enough to know that there must be an adversary that's trying to chase us down with black threads that are
Oh
designed only
gosh.
to wrap around us, get us tangled up, hold us back, keep our gifts hidden. This
Yeah.
adversary is Satan. He comes only to kill, steal, and destroy. We all have a target
And
on our back.
yeah.
And we are guilty of grabbing onto black threads sometimes that he might dangle in front of us that look like that shiny object, like that looks pretty good. It's like a safety blanket for us sometimes. We reach out and grab these things. They could be addictive behaviors, destructive
Oh,
behaviors. We all have black threads that we sometimes are tempted to reach out and just grab onto them, knowing exactly where they're going to lead, you know?
do you think there are some black threads that we just don't realize are black threads?
Yes. So
Okay.
many. Like,
Like
for
what?
instance, our phones can be a black thread. They can be used as a tool, but given the opportunity, we can slip into doom scrolling and wasting time. And that is another thing that I believe in our generation that Satan uses as a powerful weapon is just being distracted so that you're not accomplishing what God really has planned for you that day. If he can get you off doom scrolling or watching videos that are mindless and meaningless, then you're not a productive person. And how can you accomplish God's purpose when you're distracted and you're checked out?
Yeah. I think back to life before I had a cell phone,
Oh,
and
good grief.
gosh.
I heard a stat the other day about that said of people in our generation who could go back and surrender cell phones if possible and just not
Mhm.
have them, a
Yeah.
good portion of people would say, "Sayonara, I'm done."
Yeah, I think it does get in the way for me. I mean, it's a battle.
And, there's also black threads that are not our fault, you know?
Okay.
We can
Like
have,
what?
like, completely blindsided black threads that hit us out of nowhere, like a bad car wreck that's not your
Yeah.
fault. You could have a bad medical diagnosis, someone close to you could pass away, your corporate job could restructure and they could suddenly decide they don't even need your position, they phase it out, and you're just suddenly without a job, not for anything you did wrong. And it
Mhm.
gets really messy down here. And because of the way we get ourselves locked into mortgages and payment plans and subscriptions, and oh my goodness, every month we have this rolling nut that we have to make, we get ourselves in such a state that these can be a real blow, and good grief, they can hold us back from God's purpose because we're just trying to survive. And that's what a lot of people are doing, is they're only surviving because of the weight of these black threads, that they don't have a chance to thrive. They're just surviving, but they're not thriving.
Is that like having golden handcuffs on in a job that pays well? Is that kinda what you're saying?
Yeah, it can
Okay.
be. Yeah, you
Okay.
can be trapped. Absolutely. You can be trapped. They can be black threads in gold thread clothing, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that black threads can turn into gold thread? Like, maybe like,
Oh, yes.
I'm just thinking about my husband, like, he lost his job, but it ended up being a complete blessing.
Well, by God's grace, he has the ability to see down the line. And he's patient, if you haven't noticed. He's very patient. I wish sometimes I could be more, but God never really seems to be in a hurry. It can take generations sometimes for his plan to fully come full circle. And yet he has the ability to see so far down the road for us that he'll let us go through those seasons and chapters of black threads only because he knows that we're going to come out stronger and more resilient on the other end of it. And we will need the experience of going through those black threads so that we can make an impact in the next season and chapter of our calling. I heard a
Yeah.
beautiful story about the shipwreck of Paul on the island of Malta.
Mhm.
And that was, by definition, a wreck. I mean, it was a shipwreck. But
Right.
even to this day, Malta, the population is like 80% Christian, and they actually have a holiday where they celebrate the shipwreck of Paul that
Yeah.
made this possible. And think of the impact that that made. And in so many small ways, we have those black threads in our lives that come in. It could be a financial black thread, a health black thread scare. You've heard all those things where people have a health scare, this black thread that wraps them up, and they have a mild heart attack or something, but it puts them in gear to get their health in
Right.
check, and
For
it ends
sure.
up being the greatest thing for them. And if you go through a trial and you come out with all this wisdom and all of this perspective, think about how much better you're going to be suited to be a blessing for somebody else that's going through the same thing.
Exactly. And I think that when you go through those times that are like a black thread moment in your life, that's when you will hopefully recognize your need for God and hopefully return to God or really rely on Him.
It's true. When things
Yeah.
are going good, we tend to think we don't need God as much, that we've got this. That's when we want to take the ball and run with it and be like, I've got
Yeah.
this. And he'll let us go. He'll say, okay, I'll be here when you get back.
Yeah. Well, Jason, is there anything else that you would like to share about your book or anything else that you're up to?
Yeah, I would have to say that when I did finally reconnect my heart and my work with God's purpose, and I got closer back to doing just my art, my landscape photography, and I just started doing things because I wanted to glorify God instead of just making a bunch of ads and glorifying these corporations that were paying me to make them. I just went out and did work because I wanted to, because God prompted me to do those things.
Mm,
And even though I wasn't on an assignment, I wasn't being paid to do this, God used that to open doors for me that I never saw coming.
Yeah.
And even though I was taking a step back from trying to just notch up in advertising and reach that next level of the ladder of creative director and growing an ad agency and bringing on more books of business and things like that, I sort of
Yeah.
took a step back. Do you know that he opened the door for me to make more money and have the highest income earning years of my entire life away from advertising?
Oh,
It's incredible. So if you have this little inkling to follow a little thread that God may have on your heart, even if it looks like it's a pay cut right now, remember, when your math ain't mathin', God is a better, he's a better account and bookkeeper than you are. He's a much better accountant and he can see things that you don't see. So he
yeah.
operates in that currency of asking you to step outside of your comfort zone. And I've done it now so many times that I kind of embrace those butterflies because I know
Yeah.
God can work in that. That's his currency. That's where he operates. And I would just want to encourage your listener out there who might have that little inkling of something that God's put on their heart that they don't feel prepared for. They feel out of place or ill prepared, like they're not quite ready, or they're afraid they're not good enough, or they don't have the finances figured out yet, or they don't have all the steps in order.
Right.
That's when you should go for it, because God doesn't just call the equipped, but he equips the called. We've all heard that. And it's
Oh,
so
okay.
true. And he will make a way for you. If you're following in his purpose for you, you'll figure it out because you're that horse that was designed to run on that track. And when you get in that lane where you're born to run, it's going to come easy. Success will find you because you're where God wanted you to be.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. So we can find your book, what, on Amazon?
Yeah, or you can
Uh,
actually, I've got a freebie for your listeners. If they go to jasondward.com and just scroll down the homepage, they're going to see this badge that says the Gold Thread Challenge. And of course, there's links for the book and to go on to Amazon and find the book. But this is a quick 12-question quiz. And I use an app, a web-based app with AI to program it to do a certain thing. And it's not one of those cheesy work career aptitude tests, where you
okay.
answer these questions and it recommends job roles. It's not like that. These
Okay.
are hard. These are really hard questions. But if you answer those 12 questions, it will actually shed some light on what your true calling as it relates to your abilities and God's purpose, what your true calling might actually be. That's a great little exercise to do before reading the book.
And it's free. I like that. So thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you.
So that's all that I have for today. If you enjoyed this super encouraging episode with Jason Ward, please share it with a friend right now from your phone or computer. You can text it, email it, share it on social media, and be sure to click subscribe on your streaming platform. Podcast updates happen on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Dayna, and until next time, remember that God is good and you are good enough for God.